3 scary stories to tell the boys. In a small, secluded town, Grayson Hall stood abandoned, its walls whispering tales of its haunted past. It was a place the locals avoided, especially after dark. Jane, a freelance photographer, heard the stories and saw an opportunity for a spine-chilling photo series. She decided to spend a night there, eager to capture its eerie essence. Armed with her camera and flashlight, Jane entered the decrepit mansion. As she explored, she felt an unsettling chill in the air, but she brushed it off. Hours passed without incident until she reached the grand staircase. As she climbed, her flashlight flickered, casting unsettling shadows. Suddenly, she heard a soft, distant humming. Jane followed the sound to a room on the second floor. Inside, she found an old, dusty piano. As she approached, the humming stopped, replaced by a faint, eerie tune from the piano. There was no one there. Her heart raced as she raised her camera to take a picture. The flash went off, and in that brief moment of light, she saw a figure standing behind her in a mirror. A woman in a tattered dress, her eyes hollow and sad. Jane spun around, but the room was empty. Terrified, Jane decided to leave. As she descended the stairs, she heard footsteps following her, growing louder and faster. She broke into a run, barely making it out before the heavy front door slammed shut behind her. Jane never returned to Grayson Hall, but the photos she took that night revealed ghostly figures lurking in the shadows, forever haunting her dreams. Jake and his friends loved camping, but they had never ventured into Blackwood Forest, a place shrouded in mystery and fear. Locals warned of a phantom that roamed the woods, but the group dismissed it as mere legend. One autumn weekend, they decided to test their courage and set up camp deep within the forest. The first night was uneventful, filled with laughter and stories around the campfire. However, as midnight approached, an unnatural silence fell over the forest. The usual sounds of wildlife ceased, replaced by an oppressive stillness. Suddenly, a cold wind swept through the camp, extinguishing their fire. Jake noticed a faint, glowing light in the distance. Curiosity got the better of him, and he convinced his friends to investigate. They followed the light deeper into the forest until they reached a clearing. In the center stood an old, dilapidated cabin. As they approached, the light inside flickered out, plunging them into darkness. Jake pushed open the creaking door, revealing a room filled with cobwebs and decaying furniture. On a dusty table lay an old, leather-bound journal. Jake opened it and read the final entry. "I can hear her outside. She whispers my name, begging to be let in. I fear tonight will be my last." A chilling whisper echoed through the cabin, calling Jake's name. Panicking, they turned to leave, but found the door shut tight. The whispering grew louder, more insistent. Suddenly, a figure appeared in the corner. A ghostly woman with hollow eyes and a mournful expression. The room grew colder as she moved towards them, her form flickering in a dying flame. Jake and his friends struggled with the door, finally bursting out into the night. They ran without looking back, the whispers following them until they reached their campsite. The next morning they packed up and left, vowing to never return to Blackwood Forest. The memory of the phantom haunted them, and they could never shake the feeling of being watched, even in the safety of their own homes. Hollow Creek Bridge was an old, weathered structure that locals claimed was cursed. According to legend, a young woman named Emily had drowned there on her wedding day, her spirit forever bound to the bridge. It was said that if you crossed the bridge at midnight, you could see her ghost. Sam, a skeptic by nature, decided to prove the legend wrong. Armed with a flashlight and a strong resolve, he drove to the bridge just before midnight. The air was thick with fog, and an eerie silence surrounded the area. As the clock struck 12, Sam stepped onto the bridge. The wood creaked under his weight, and he could hear the distant sound of rushing water. Halfway across, his flashlight flickered and went out, leaving him in darkness. He fumbled to turn it back on when he heard a soft sobbing sound. The sobbing grew louder, more desperate. Sam's heart pounded as he turned around and saw a ghostly figure in a white dress, standing at the edge of the bridge. Her face was pale, her eyes hollow and filled with sorrow. She reached out a hand, her voice a mere whisper. "Help me." Terrified, Sam tried to run, but his feet felt rooted to the spot. The ghostly bride floated closer, her sorrowful eyes locked onto his. She repeated her plea, "Help me, please." In a panic, Sam shouted that he couldn't help her and begged her to leave and let him go. Suddenly, the temperature dropped, and an unseen force pushed Sam backward. He fell to the ground, his flashlight rolling away. When he looked up, the ghost was gone, and the sobbing had stopped. Trembling, Sam scrambled to his feet and ran back to his car. He drove away, swearing never to return. Despite his skepticism, Sam couldn't shake the memory of that ghostly bride's sorrowful eyes and her desperate plea for help. The legend of Hollow Creek Bridge remained, and Sam was left with a haunting reminder that some stories are better left untested.